say hi, jump on. And last week we talked about the open houses in person. Now, I know some of you guys are still in limbo of, oh, we still can't do anything, which is why I thought, you know what, we just talked about the open houses in person. Let's talk about the virtual open houses. And I know we're probably all a little sick and tired of this whole, virtual thing, and maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but I want to piggyback off it, and I wanted to give that piece of information to you guys in case you are in an area where you can't have the open houses. So this way you don't feel left out, because I know we are spanning everything from the East Coast to the West Coast. Some of you in Canada, I think I got people in South Africa on here as well. So hey, Becky, thanks for hopping on tonight. So we want to make sure that we cover as many things as possible. And this one, I honestly have done it the first time this year, a virtual open house. So, and the results, and I'll have them, in everything too, were a little surprising on a very positive note. So I'm going to share that with you guys too. So let me get everything shared. Just because, train of thought. How did your guys' week go so far? Did you have a good real estate week, a crazy real estate week? I can tell you mine's been a little crazy. I've been riding the real estate roller coaster of, everything's great, and all of a sudden everything is like, ah! Ever been there? I don't know. So it just seems the last 4 days everything been like, ah! But anyhow, so let me know how your week's been. I'm always, I always love to hear some of that real estate talk to see where everybody else is. All right, concentrate on what I'm supposed to do. Sharing my screen. That's what I'm supposed to do. There you go. All right. So we are going to talk tonight about virtual open houses. And believe me when I tell you that I've, really struggled with this one at first, until I sat down and I said, what is it? What really is it? And I want to dive into all of this and show you what's really behind it, because I think a lot of the strategies that were out there, they were just very elaborate and they sound complicated. So let's break it down. And let's dive into tonight's neighborhood marketing strategy revealed, which is our open houses and tour, our virtual 101. And here's the thing. The reason I put this in here was I've been listening to some, podcasts, and they're always discussing the failure rate of agents that are brand new to our business, or they're just re-entering because they've tried it and then they faded out. And the failure rate of our industry is huge, huge. And one of the things is it's just everybody is taught to do the same stuff at first in school, right? I mean, I don't know, show of hands, who was taught stuff in their licensing school or licensing classes that has nothing to do with what you're actually doing in real estate. Like, how many people still remember how many square feet an acre is? That was in there somewhere. And it's like, really? I just Google it. I mean, sounds bad, but there's ways for us to really know some of those things or find the answers. But then the parts what they are leaving out is like how to actually do some stuff. And what they tell us is traditional stuff, the stuff that's been around. And yes, that stuff works to a certain degree, but we have to adapt it, right? And one of the things here is, if you do what 90% of the real estate agents out there do, you will find it hard to gain traction, right? Like, if you're like everybody else, that's no good. So this one is a way for you to utilize your time your way and building a business around it, around your time, your specifications. And if you haven't seen it already in the group, I have been working super hard to come up with the easiest list for you to have. So if you want to know how to get access to my personal list of easy-to-use tools for design and streaming tools. Okay, there's every service that I use is in there. I think it's 7 services listed, I want to say, and this is it. There's no heavy tech stuff. There's some options, and we're going to talk about those too. But I'm going to give you access to that one at the end of this live today. So, question. Have you tried yourself on a virtual open house yet? I want to know. And if you're doing, right now live with me, just drop it in the comments. If you're watching the replay later, please let me know in the comments as you're watching the replay. Have you tried yourself on a virtual open house yet? You can just say yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know in the comments if you have done one. And what, not yet, Barbara. Hey, Barbara, thanks for joining. So definitely something. There's a thumbs up from Becky. So definitely drop in how it went. I'm excited. Crispy, not yet. All right. So I'm curious. What do you think is holding you back? Drop it in. Because tonight we are actually going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about the Open House Virtual Edition. And I'm going to walk you through the exact strategy that will leverage your open houses and tours online so your competition stands no chance. And it's really being, different. It's not to do what 90% of the other agents do. So let's start here. COVID-19 hit, massive changes started to happen. And we literally zoomed our way halfway through 2020. Now you will find a massive shift happening soon, which is that the adapting agents will pull ahead quick. And it's about to come where people that have adapted their business practices have just a slight unfair advantage when it comes to marketing themselves, because they have this new thing to now show them and be like, this is what we've done. This is what we've done for our sellers. And we want to make sure that this is something that you can add to your toolbox. Okay. So then here is a screenshot of my virtual open house I've done not that long ago. So I dug through my pages and I looked into it, and here is how it all came together. So there is something we're going to talk about in a minute in terms of putting the presentation together, but the video itself, you see it right here, lasted 23 minutes. If you want to watch the entire presentation, it's not on here, but if you want to watch the entire presentation, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to provide you with the video or the link. If there's interest, just let me know. So this one is how I started structuring, the open house. And I'm like, okay, if I do it, I don't want to come up with a new structure week after week after week. And it was just, and I thought, well, I don't have to, right? What if I design an outline and all I got to do is change the address, change some, some text, change some pictures. And from there, I just took the outline, I have it saved, and now I can just drag and drop it in, okay? So there is virtual open houses can leverage your time spent by 10x or more. So let's go back real quick. You have 23 minutes and 21 seconds that I was literally live, that I was doing the open house, right? So now let me show you how the reach was. And keep in mind, I did not do a lot with it in terms of promotion. So first off, there was 4 shares in there and a total of 557 views, which for a video on Facebook, yes, I could have put some money behind it to then just widen my reach on an ad. I did not. So that's nothing with ad spend. So this one went from my open house, where I might have had 5 people through, 10 people through, 20 people through, right? To 557 views that I got eyes on. my reach just exponentially grew from it. A couple of important things here. Hook them, okay? This one is your video description. Own a ranch home for $919 a month. It was a fairly affordable one, so great hook, under $1,000. So obviously there was a big draw there. But find something, if you have pool homes, ready to, buy your home or first home with a pool. You need to watch how to make it happen, or I don't know, find something that is just engaging, that speaks to them. This one here, again, the first line was, want to know how to own a 3-bedroom ranch home for $990. I kind of just repeated it. And then tune in on this live as I will walking you through a property that will make exactly this possible. And best of all, we are talking little to no money down. Now, this entire presentation was structured around affordability. For this particular one, I will probably end up tweaking some of it if there's other features, but affordability is a feature. I can structure my entire presentation around something else. So again, if you want to see it, I think Barbara already said, yes, please. I'll send you the link for it. If you want to see it, feel free to, drop me a comment below. I'll go through them after the video and make sure I get that one out. Get some inspiration and, see if there's something in there, a structure, a theme that works for you as well. Next one up here is no listings or open houses. I know many of you guys are brand new, right? Does your schedule not allow for the traditional time to host open houses? Ours are generally Friday or, Thursday. Ours are generally on Saturday and Sunday. So let's say you just got started and you work retail Saturday and Sunday, and it's really hard for you to plan an open house. How about taking your viewers on an agent preview with you? Would you consider just holding up your phone and going through a property you're previewing? Again, give credit where credit is due. Don't say, hey, I'm touring my listing, because if it's not your listing, it's gonna get you in trouble. But if you're saying, part of my open house or part of my job is to preview homes that are in my target area. This one is listed by ABC Realty. We have a confirmed agent preview. So why don't you go ahead and come on with me, check out behind the scenes what the day of a realtor is going to look like, and check out the house in the meantime. Again, you're not overstepping any boundaries on what it is. You actually are adding exposure to somebody else's listing. Maybe they get a buyer from it, but at the same time, you are providing value and you're being honest about it. You are linking back to, this is not yours, right? You're making this clear. This belongs to somebody else. So this one is perfect if you say, you know what, I really don't have any open houses to do. Inventory is low. Our houses don't stay on the market until I have time to do an open house. But I really want to, do a virtual tour of some sort. This one can work regardless. If the property just came on the market on a Wednesday, guess you're going to be doing that on Wednesday if it's not on the market anymore on Thursday. So think about how you can utilize some of that. So anybody so far had a great aha moment, like this makes so much sense? Give me a thumbs up, a check mark of fire. If you're still having questions, let me know too. I always love to adjust everything I do along with you guys. So then the second part, your virtual open house, learn the hacks for your business. So as you may or may not know at this point, but I'm a huge fan of A, saving time, and B, saving money. Okay, those are the two things that I just like to save. Don't have any more time, and I surely work hard for my money, so I do like to keep that one too. So here are 3 ways that this method can actually save you both of those. So here's 3 things that we're going to eliminate, and I'm going to dive deep into them in a minute. Those things that you see here that are all X'd out are all done and gone with a virtual open house. First off, you are going to cut down on driving time to get to the open house. You are going to just save your gas. I mean, no offense, gas isn't cheap unless you're probably in Texas. Then it might be a lot cheaper. gas isn't cheap where I am. So we're not going to put unnecessary miles on your car. We're going to spend a lot less time doing the actual open house. I know last week I asked you guys, how long do you have your open house for? Many of you guys were at 2 hours. If you remember my first slide, when my own presentation was at, 23 minutes. 23 minutes and 21 seconds. Not 2 hours, right? So I just saved a lot of time right there as well. Second up, stop wasting time on open house setup and pickup. I mean, I know last week I said you need to get out there early, and I stand by this. If you are doing in-person open houses, you better get up early, put up your open house signs. But if you are super busy and, the market is just crazy and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do an open house, do you think you can find 23 minutes somewhere to squeeze an open house in and continue with what you're doing? Can you replace your virtual open house, your open house with a virtual open house? Likely the answer is yes, you can. I don't know about you, but it always happens. Somebody might be, very unhappy that there is an open house sign on the little corner of their lot, even though it's an easement, and might take the sign. Sometimes I had a car run into one of my tent signs. I think there was an accident or something, and the open house sign was smashed at the end of it. So, could have been worse, right? I hope the people are okay, but broken sign. And again, if I set up my open houses, I love signs everywhere. So there is additional cost involved to get more signs to be seen. 10 signs are great. There's other signs you can order. But if you do a virtual open house, you don't have to worry about any of those. So huge time or money saver right there, right? So no more setup, no more stolen or broken signs, and no additional cost to get more signs to be seen. And honestly, in a crazy busy market right now, if you don't know if you can get to the open house, it's a great way to continue what you do in a virtual way. And then this one, how many of you guys are bringing stuff? I know we're probably a little bit less, bringing stuff right now, but I talked to many people before that said, hey, should I have something for them to eat? Personally, I kind of like the water bottles with that just, that cheap label around. It's kind of a cute touch to it. Some of them like it. I personally like to have sometimes, like a popcorn take along of thanks for popping by. There's things that you can have there and cost money. Water cases cost money. Hors d'oeuvres or cookies or whatever people bring to the open houses, those cost money. Getting those things is a time investment, right? So you get to save on all of that. And you also get to cut out the people that are just like, oh, look, let's see if they have something, to eat. Because if it's very customary in your area, like, oh, there's an open house, they probably have cookies. Let's stop in. Happened. More so on the broker's opens, but it does happen for open houses if they know that this is what the agent does. So you can cut out all those freebie seekers and you really get to have the serious buyers watching and even the sellers. Because oftentimes they start out as pretend buyers, right? So real quick, Becky is asking, how many virtual open houses would you do in a week? Well, if I'm brand new and I have nothing else to do, I do one a day. I would probably do one a day, 5 a week. I know it sounds excessive, but if I have nothing going on and this is my strategy that I want to implement, I think I would implement it heavily to make sure that people know, hey, she's always in this area. This is, this is what she does. And it does a couple things for you. Not only is it gonna keep on building your brand online, but you're also going to get to know your inventory a lot quicker. You are actually able to serve your sellers better in that market because they're like, oh, the neighbor's house that came on the market and it sold for so much money, or, the neighbor's house down the street that sold so cheaply. It's like, yeah, because they've done all the high upgrades. And yes, this house smelled like smoke. Oh, how do you know? It sold within 24 hours. Well, I make it a point to make sure I know my market and I know the inventory. For, right now being, if you are doing it once a week, that is probably more than the average agent is doing right now. So Not a cookie cutter answer, but I hope it was helpful. All right, Becky's good. So you can set up your real estate business smarter and more cost-effective with virtual open houses. This is why a lot of the things that we are discovering now, it's if you're brand new and you literally have $0 to market yourself, but what you have is time. This might be a really good way for you to get out there, get to know things, and then also start portraying yourself as an area expert. Now, if you do this, all over town, crisscross zigzagging, might be a little confusing. But if you hone on 2 areas or something, or start out in one and then add another, you might get somewhere a lot quicker in terms of traction. Was this useful so far? We're not done. I still got more, but was this useful so far? Were you finding some tidbits that you're like, okay, this makes sense? Because we're going to dive into part 3. Don't get slowed down by the tech, right? All of us can associate with this lovely lady right there on the floor, covered in cables, because sometimes the overwhelm is just there, and it's there for all of us. It doesn't matter if we're having 0 tech skills or if we're having some tech skills. It is just natural for us to first start thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. But if we really break it down, it's not bad. First off, there are millions of options out there. Let's acknowledge that. Millions of options. Millions of apps. Which one is best? How do you know? Do you compare? It gets just, we're on an information overload society is really what it is. So let me ask you, because I can tell you my answer to this one in a second, but let me ask you first. Have you ever found yourself on a downward spiral, going down a rabbit hole just to find that the time spent with it didn't lead to results? If you've ever been obsessed with something, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out. And you just research and you keep going and you look into it. And all of a sudden, 2 hours later, you're like, yeah, whatever, I'll get to it later. And then you continue doing what you normally do, right? What happened to those 2 hours? What happened to that rabbit hole? Please tell me I'm not the only one that has been down that rabbit hole. I have been down that rabbit hole. I have done all of this, which is why I want to save you all of that hassle, and which is why I want to give you at the end that PDF, so you can make sure that you just cut that all out and get straight to the point. Overanalyzation is really the death to productivity. And give me one of those, yeses in there if you are agreeing. Do you see where you can just really sit down and you can make a pro and con list, and you can say, okay, let's see, what if I do this? What if I do that? How about I do this? Oh, what about the features of this one? Let's compare the features of this. You're literally throwing yourself a wrench in your own gears. Ever heard about that? Right there, okay? And we don't want to do that. We don't want to overanalyze. And it's really hard for us to stop analyzing and start implementing. But this is really what needs to happen for us to make a shift into the direction of something positive, right? So first off, pick no more than 3 options to compare and make that decision within 24 hours and then implement it. It is not so much about the where you do it, what's the app you use, what's this. It's really about, are you going to do it? And if you are, it doesn't matter if you do it with the most amazing system that's out there, or if you do it with the cheapest. Because there's a lot of people spending a lot of money on something that then they don't utilize at all. So it's a really simple process. 3 options to compare, because yes, we need to compare. We do need to, look at some things. I think that is just the smart things to do than just jumping head over heels into something. Make that decision and start implementing. The tools that I used consistently are the best, right? Not the ones that cost the most money. And this is really was one of the biggest, realizations when I started, because I started using, does that make sense? Is this the one that I really want? And I spent weeks making sure I picked the perfect CRM. And the thing was, I really made it overly complicated. So the tools that I use need to be easy, and the tools I put together for you guys in that free PDF are easy. I promise they do not require a lot. Did this make sense? Are we good so far on this? Becky, do you have some more questions? So I see some question marks. Feel free to drop your question in. I'll make sure I'll go through them again later. So here's the thing. Will you promise me to stop procrastinating and be the business owner your real estate business deserves? Because I know all of you guys are doing amazing things. I've talked to many of you guys privately, and I love that our community is growing. You guys are referring more people on it. So we want to make sure that you are continuing to, just do what you do best. No more of this, right? Death to procrastination. So we want to make sure we are no longer procrastinating on wondering how do you do it. Real quick, if you're brand new to the group, I'm an active realtor and team leader. I run a 6-figure real estate business. I'm a hyper-local marketing machine, and I'm all about into that. So I built my business with zero fear, and I'm also a mom with 2 little kids. So I know that time constraints are no joke. And I see Becky is asking, what about the options? Yes. So all the options are as promised in the PDF. You can download it because I didn't want people to just focus on, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? I went through all the ones. So if you have, there's, like I said, there's a few of them on there because it's not about 300 options. There is streaming tools as well as design tools. And I'm going to make sure you have the open house link that I use to have that one as well. Yes. So when we talked about some of the tools that I use, there is easy to use streaming and design tools, and you can get all of them with a free 1-page PDF via bit.ly/design-streaming-tools-PDF. Sorry, that one was a long one. So again, it's www.bit.ly/design-streaming-tools-PDF. Yeah, didn't think this one through when I set it up. So, but this one has, and it's not about, Becky is asking, what do you mean Facebook? Do I mean Instagram? It's not necessarily as much about the platform. Think about it from a platform perspective. Who in here remembers MySpace? Just curious on who in here. I was a MySpace generation. My social media, Friendsters. I think Friendsters was also like the US version. Friendsters, MySpace. Yes, they are platforms. They are tools that can be used, or they're platforms that can be used. They change. What doesn't change is the tools that you use to make sure it's happening inside your business. And those are the tools that I'm referring to. If you want to get in detail with, Facebook, with Instagram, let me know. I'll dive into that. But I hope this explains why I don't want to focus on platforms itself too much, because the change of platforms is just, ever changing, especially in our world. So thank you guys again for being inside the group. I really value you guys being here. And again, you're getting the entire free PDF for easy to use streaming and design tools. Not talking about the platform, so thanks so much for bringing that up, Becky, is www.bit.ly/design-streaming-tools-PDF, in all like small letters. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm gonna look for my link to find the virtual tour that I've done. I'm gonna drop that one as well. And then if you guys have any other questions, drop them in the group, and I will go through them later. I hope you guys got something out of this one, and I'll talk to you sometime this week.